Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Benefits Cooldown. That's Ed. I'm Eric. Let's get to it. Ed, listen, this is a big topic that I hear a lot all around the country, particularly in the benefit space, amongst HR people, benefit brokers like ourselves. And that's the definition of perks versus culture. And really, can they coexist? Is there room for both? Is there a way to balance both? What do you think about perks versus culture?
Yeah, that is, I think this is this common misconception that perks is culture or is one more important than the other, right? And, the short answer to the question, can they both coexist? I absolutely believe so. I think both are necessary. But I do think that they're both completely different things at the end of the day. Let's go back another 5-10 years or so. Perks are very much so you go to like the Apple headquarters and the Googles and the big Silicon Valley organizations, and they've got these really great creative spaces and food every day and things of that nature. Those are what we would label as perks. Now, do they contribute to the culture? Absolutely. But sitting on a beanbag and reading a book isn't a culture, right? The culture, I would argue, is more so, do employees feel bought into the mission of the organization? Do they feel like they're creating impact in their day-to-day role? Ultimately, do they feel as individuals, the same as every other employee even from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective, right? And so, I would argue that the culture is a lot more about an individual or an organization's why, whereas the perks are more of the how and the what. Right. And so they both can coexist, but they are two very important aspects or two separate conversations, honestly, where you can bring in different benefits to help enhance the perks of the organization. But ultimately, what keeps employees is in organizational culture where they feel bought in and they feel like they are truly an individual that can impact the organization from their role, or at least have a path forward. Then you can bring in those particular perks to help elevate that experience. It's almost like the various siloed items that you can do to elevate that ultimate employee experience. Does that make sense? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. And there was so many years in a row, years ago, where, as you said, tech companies kind of created this, free food and free buffets and free drinks and, play ping pong in the office and shoot pool and cornhole and go for walks and kumbaya. Okay, I got it. I get it. And there's a lot of companies that saw that and they're like, no, we got to do that now to compete. Yes, employees appreciate those niceties, no doubt, but I really don't believe that's what's keeping them there. I think the culture and getting along with the employees and having a great relationship with your peers and your bosses and your leadership, I think that is more paramount. I think if you ask 100 people, hey, you can have free food and drink and ping pong and billiards and sleeping pods and beanbag chairs in the office, but you're going to have a tyrant leadership team that absolutely is terrible and works you to the bone, or you will have no ping pong, no free food, no drinks, no lunches, but you have leadership and culture that you adore, that you would walk through fire for, and you're going to still get paid very fair relative to the market in either position, in either situation. I really do believe that if you surveyed 100, you'll have some people that would say they'd rather have the perks, but I still believe that the lion's share of those people surveyed would tell you that they would rather have an incredible culture with peers that they respect and admire and a leadership group that they would walk through fire for.
Absolutely, especially with younger generations coming through the workforce. There's a lack of mentorship. Imagine bringing that kind of experience to new candidates coming through the workforce, and that's going to keep an employee from a tenure perspective as well, more so than just, offering them lunch every Friday. Right. And again, right. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I would take,
look, it's back to what I said though. Can they coexist? Sure. Is it possible to have all those perks and incredible culture? Absolutely. It's not easy, but it can happen. And there are tons of companies that do have both. But I think as a small or mid-sized business, or if you're a broker listening to this and you're trying to advise your clients, I would tell them to focus more on culture first, and then slowly but surely add in some various perks that people can appreciate. That'd be what I would do. And that is what I've done.
Absolutely.
All right, man. As always, appreciate you, my friend, and anybody else listening and watching every week. This has been another episode of the Benefits Cooldown, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.